Hello everyone, and today we are back for another Loomian Legacy Top 5 video, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 most broken Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. This was actually my first ever top 5 list I've ever done, and that's over 3.5 years ago. We're going to be remaking this list in the good old 2025, and the list has most certainly changed a lot since then. So, that out of the way, let's head straight onto this list. But before we do that, I'm going to be giving away another rare Loomian. This time, it's going to be a Gamma Mecha Ikazune, Raging Fire with Nimble as the personality. And yeah, this is a very rare Loomian. You can't really get this anymore, and I had a spare one of these to give away. So, if you want to have a chance to win this Mecha Gamma Ikazune, you have to go into the comment section below and say Gamma Mecha Ikazune. I will give y'all a number, and within the next few days, I will spin a random number generator wheel, and if it lands on your number, you will win this Loomian. So, yeah, that's how you could participate in the giveaway. Let's head right onto the list. The number 10 spot on this list is going to be Eclipse. This is a light dark type Loomian that has an absolute broken ability called Total Eclipse. When struck by a light or dark type attack, this Loomian absorbs the attack and it boosts its speed. This is for a Loomian that has 89 speed and 106 attack, meaning that after it gets hit by a Total Eclipse boost, it can actually outspeed everything in the game. That doesn't even mention the fact that since it's a light dark type, it only has 2 weaknesses. The 2 weaknesses being to bug and metal. Meaning that if you combine the Total Eclipse ability with its typing, it actually has more immunities than weaknesses, which is absolutely amazing. It also has light-dark offensive moves, which can pretty much hit everything in the entire game for neutral damage. The only Loomians in the game that can actually effectively wall Eclipse are Terraclaw and Reflective Moraine. This was actually the best Loomian in the game during 2022 and 2023, and even before then, even when it just had Gamma Pulse, it was actually one of the better Loomians even back then, because actually one of the best counters for Vesperatu, who was a top Loomian in 2021, and it was also very good at checking up Sidrigon and Cephalops as well. It was also very solid in 2024 because of a Scapegoat Piece of Mind set. Anything that's passive, it would just set up a Scapegoat on it and then set up a Piece of Mind and win the game on the spot. And while it hasn't been good recently, it has a lot of new moves like Drudge, Magnify, and Brawn Boost, meaning that it could actually set up, meaning that Eclipse could still be very scary even in a modern day meta. And the thing is, even though Eclipse isn't as broken as it used to be, and it was broken, my goodness, 2022 and 2023, Eclipse was legit the number 1 Loomian. The fact that it had more immunities and weaknesses, and the fact that it's also the only Loomian in the game to fully absorb dark type attacks, means that Eclipse has a niche that no other Loomian in the entire game has. And it's really annoying because it can absolutely wall those Loomians. Like, the thing is, peak Eclipse, anytime you see a Eclipse, you will never click a dark type move in your life. That's how threatening Eclipse was back in 2022 and 2023. Nowadays, it is kind of a cheese option on certain offensive teams and maybe defensive teams as well, but it definitely isn't as good as it used to be, and that's why it's only number 10 on the list, because it's no longer broken anymore. But man, it used to be the most broken thing on the planet, and that's why it's on this list. Number 9 on this list is going to be Dragodyne, the Dark Air-type Loomian. This is actually a very good Loomian throughout its entire life cycle. When it was added, it had Anomaly Draco Beam. Draco Beam is a move that anytime you use it, it will reduce your range attack by -2 after you use it. Anomaly basically switched that, meaning that anytime you click Draco Beam, you would just get +2 range attack, and this was utterly broken, because Dragodyne is a Loomian that has 135 range attack and 70 speed, so it was decently fast for the time, and its range attack was so high that it could just snowball out of control. It was so broken that it was eventually nerfed to 60 speed and 125 range attack. Before that was still too overpowered that they needed to get rid of Anomaly altogether. So now it is stuck with Staunch. Ever since it did lose Anomaly Draco Beam, it's always been a solid Loomian. not a great Loomian. It had moves like Slumber, Peace of Mind, Jetstream, Provoke. It had moves that it can click, but it didn't really do the best at anything until it got its Soul Burst. The Temperain Strigodyne is super powerful. 145 ranged attack, and it has a brand new ability called Remorsefulness. This makes it so you gain a ranged attack increase after you pick up a KO, and this is absolutely broken in doubles, because it even activates your ability even when your teammate gets KO'd. So, that makes Soul Burst Strigodyne the best Loomian in all of doubles. That doesn't even mention the fact that its speed is buffed from 70 to 95 while in its Soul Burst form, making Soul Burst Strigodyne an effective late-game sweeper. That doesn't even mention the fact that it still hits really hard, and if you combine that with Banana Split, it can outspeed everything and then KO everything. It was not only one of the most broken Loomians back when it was released, but it's still a very broken Loomian nowadays. Ever since Rank Season 2 onward, Soul Burst Strigodyne with Banana Split has always been a very dangerous team style, and if you're not ready for it on Team Preview, it could definitely sweep your team on the spot. And that's why Strigodyne is on this list. Not only was it overpowered back then, it's still very overpowered today. Maybe not as broken as Anomaly Draco Beam. I don't think anything is going to beat that, but still, Remorsefulness sweeping after a Banana Split coming up is very scary. And that's why Strigodyne is number 9 on this list. Number 8 on this list is going to be the funny squid guy himself, Cephalops. Cephalops is a dark water type, which is actually a really good typing offensively, as it can pretty much hit most Loomians in the entire game. That is amazing, especially when you combine that with its base stats. Look at these stats! 164 health, 116 energy, 96 melee attack, 69 melee defense, 129 range attack, 74 range defense, and 52 speed. Almost all of his stats are really good. The only thing that's low is its speed. And even then, it doesn't even matter that much, because the way Cephalops plays makes it so it never dies. With Bloodsucker, it's an ability where Leech Life moves makes it so those attacks are buffed. Its signature move, Soul Drain, is a Leech Life move, meaning that Soul Drain is boosted by Bloodsucker and boosted by Stab. Keep in mind, Cephalops has amazing bulk. It can pretty much lift any hit in the game. And when you combine that with Specialty Goggles, Soul Drain can just shred holes through teams, and it can just heal HP back. With the addition of Parasitize, Tsunami, and Frostbeam, this thing can pretty much hit anything in the entire game. It also had other tools like Icicle Traps, Hypnotize, and other stuff as well. So, yeah, Cephalops was very powerful, even when it just released. When it released in 2020, it was overpowered back then. It pretty much stayed overpowered. It was on Fraud Watch for a little bit, but it was still generally a very good Loomian. And then Specialty Goggles came out, and then, yeah. In ranked Season 0 through 2, this thing was broken. It shred through teams. Suffa Snacks was a very common team style that would just absolutely wreck teams because your snack can get Cephalops into the game very easily, and then it just spams Soul Drain. The thing with Cephalops, the thing that makes it so broken is that you didn't even need to be very skilled to use it. You just click Soul Drain and you win. It was so powerful that it was nerfed going into Season 3 by losing Frostbeam, and then it was banned afterwards anyway, so you can't even use Cephalops in ranked anymore. Honestly, good riddance. I'm glad that Cephalops is banned now, because this thing is very powerful, and even nowadays, even without Frostbeam, it's still extremely powerful nowadays, and that's why it's number 8 on this list. Number 7 on this list is going to be Mutagon. A lot of people might be shocked that Mutagon is not number 1 on this list, and honestly, I can understand if people want this Loomian to be number 1. It's a Brawler Mind type, that in 2021 it had Brawn Boost and Quick Punch. Yes, it had Brawn Boost and Quick Punch at some point. This was one of the most overpowered Loomians in the entire game. This is a Loomian that had 114 base melee attack, Heavy Fist to boost its punching type moves, and Quick Punch to basically make it so its low speed stat doesn't matter. After a Brawn Boost, it pretty much just O-code everything in one hit, and you were forced to run a Vesperatu on your team just to stand a chance against Mutagon. And even then, it wouldn't matter anyway. Mutagon was that strong, and it took Loomian Legacy 3 years for Mutagon to finally lose Quick Punch. 3 years for this Loomian to actually lose Quick Punch. Even then, though, even though it lost Quick Punch, it was able to open up a move slot to run Frost Punch and hit those pesky air types, which, you know, is one of the types that Mutagon is weak to, so being able to hit them for super effective damage is really nice. It was actually kind of a bad Loomian, though, when it lost Quick Punch, so it wasn't that good. But when Specialty Gloves was added in the game, Mutagon was great again. Mutagon is pretty much the pure definition of an all-out wall breaker. It hits very hard. You get it into the game safely at full HP, and it can pretty much 1v1 any Loomian in the game. It hits that hard, especially when you combine that with either gloves or after a brawn boost. And it's very easy to get Loomians in the game right now, because Loomians like Luminami and Lashent, or even Loomians like Surkami and Yerstack, makes it so you can pivot into Loomians like Mutagon a lot easier. It hits really hard, and if you can get it in the right situation, you can pin your opponent to the point where you just claim a body. Mutagon is still strong even today, and while it's not extremely broken now, it's still pretty close. It's still a very dangerous Loomian that hovers the line between a great Loomian to broken, even without Quick Punch. I can only imagine if it had Quick Punch now. Oh god, that would be generally scary. Thank God we don't have to deal with Quick Punch Mutagon anymore. So, yeah, still good nowadays, extremely broken for a long time, and that's why it's number 7 on this list. The number 6 spot on this list is going to be Nova freaking Diaz, the banned Loomian, the overpowered guy, the 750 base stat Loomian, the Fire Ice type dragon, the fusion between Arceus and Glacidia. Of course this thing was going to be overpowered. I mean, 134 attacks on both sides, and an ability called Obsidian Heart that makes its ancient type moves deal 50% deal damage, basically giving Nova Diaz a third stab option. And yeah, Nova Diaz can pretty much do whatever the heck it wants. Can I tell you the move pools it has? Blaze of Glory, Frost Breath, Blaze Rush, Primal Slash, Outburst, Bitter Cold, Raging Flame, Burn Up, Peace of Mind, Bulk Up, Charred Claws, Ice Hammer, Raging Howl, Raging Tackle, Energy Break, Draco Beam, Icicle Traps, and even more that I'm probably missing. This Loomian can pretty much learn anything you need because it can learn the move pools from both Arceus and Glacidia. And even before then, it can even run Deep Freeze and Boiling Press to hit water types. But those moves were eventually removed from Glacidia and Arceus, so you can no longer hit bulky waters anymore. And that's honestly the reason why Nova Diaz is not in the top 5. Despite being a 750 base stat Loomian, it is walled by probably one of the most common Loomians in the game, Luminami. And I know what people are thinking. It's only commonly checked by Luminami. That isn't the biggest deal in the world. Loomians need their checks. The problem with Luminami is that Luminami is so bulky and resists all of your attacks to the point that if you're seeing a Luminami, there's pretty much no reason to bring Nova Diaz. I know, it sounds crazy that this overpowered dragon is not that good right now because of the existence of Luminami. Which, by the way, we'll talk about that Loomian in a little bit. Because Luminami can be placed on a lot of team structure. It can be placed on offense, defense, and even stall-style teams as well. So, you're almost always going to have to deal with the Luminami. Other than Luminami, though, Nova Diaz can pretty much destroy anything else. And this thing is powerful. There's a reason why it's banned. It can pretty much do whatever it wants. Even against Luminami, it can Raging Flame or Bitter Cold it as well. So, even Luminamis can't get off completely unscathed. But still, the fact that it does struggle versus Luminami definitely make it not as broken as it should be. It's still a broken Loomian, but it does keep it out of the top 5 for me. And that's why it's the number 6 most broken Loomian in the game. We're into our top 5 now, and number 5 on this list is going to be Tyrannox. And we have a long history of Tyrannox constantly being broken. There's 4 different Tyrannox sets we're going to have to talk about today. So, first of all, Light Spirit type, best defensive typing in all of Loomian Legacy. Has a whopping 1 weakness and 2 immunities. Nothing else to really say there. It even has 4 resistances. It also has 2 broken abilities, Fog Summon and Reaper. Fog summons the Fog, the best weather in the game, and Reaper makes it so anytime you catch a KO, you gain 25% of your max HP back. And if you KO a light type, you get 50% of your max HP back. Meaning that Tyrannics can just KO stuff and heal HP back. That's very scary. When it was released, it was broken when it had Magnify and Light Speed Ray. And this is for a Loomian that had 122 range attack and a great defensive typing. So it's very easy to actually set up a Magnify, and then you just Light Speed Ray stuff and you win on the spot. It was that broken. It definitely needed to be nerfed. It lost Light Speed Ray, and it was broken in Season 0 because of Fogbane of Haste. Fogbane of Haste was the best team style you could roll with in Season 0. And yeah, the existence of Tyrannics enabling those strategies pretty much was the reason why poor Soulburst Icy Goal is banned for crimes that it didn't even commit. Yes, Tyrannics was the broken part of Fogbane of Haste, not Soulburst Icy Goal. Moving on, from Seasons 2 to 3, it wasn't as common, but it was still very dangerous because even though it lost Light Speed Ray, after a Peace of Mind, it makes it so it never dies on the range side. And once Rant was buffed to being 65 power, it actually made it so it could beat those pesky light types it couldn't beat before. Like, it could beat Luminami, Landtorch, and even other light types like Valkyrie. That is ridiculous. That the one counter for Tyrannics couldn't even counter it anymore? Yeah. All that was broken, especially when you consider the fact that Reaper is very overpowered when he KO a light type, so it got Rant removed, and then even with all the nerfs, it's still broken today, even in Season 4. Combining the Fog Summon with Prowler Ursul and Gloomy Lashent is the meta for ranked Season 4, and having great bulk, a great defensive typing, and double pivot in both Fade Away and Flash and Flee makes it so Tyrannics is one of the best weather setters in the entire game. It also has other tools like Frost Beam for plant types, Phantom Blast to hit hard, Tear Down to remove hazards, Palm and Magnify we already said, and tricky tactics to catch melee attackers. On a bonus note, Lamp Purge was its pre-evolved Loomian, and it was probably the most broken doubles Loomian of all time until that thing was nerfed to the ground, so even Tyrannics' pre-evolved form was broken. This Loomian is always constantly broken, it always got nerfed, and it always found new ways to be broken again. This Loomian will always be a meta threat, and that's why it belongs on the top 5 most broken Loomians of all time. Number 4 on this list is going to be a shocker because it's going to be Luminami, and a lot of people might think that Luminami is good for the game because it does hold team structures together. It basically enables offense to be offense because it's a great sponge, it's a great middleman, so you could use Flash and Flea and Power Napper to pivot into your offensive Loomians. And on defensive playstyles, you know, Power Napper, great ability, you gain free HP every time you switch out, and it's very easy to switch out when you're slow and click Flash and Flea. The problem is that Luminami does it a little too well. I mean, let's just look at the bulk. 105 base health, 95 melee defense, and 85 range defense. It doesn't look like the flashiest defense stats on paper, but the thing is that Luminami doesn't use support moves on its movesets, so when items like Restrictive Armor and Restrictive Shield were added to the game, this basically made it so Luminami never died. And when you combine that with the Power Napper ability, making it gain HP back, it could drop Rejuvenate and run a 4th move, meaning it could run coverage options to hit certain types. Like, for example, you have Wave Wrecker to hit Pyrolin, you have Frost Beam to hit Loomians like Lashent, you have Mega Chomp and Thunder Chomp to hit Loomians like Soulburst Gasstroke and Soulburst Stratosaur, respectively. And of course, your main move of choice is Flash and Blade. That's the move you're going to click 80% of the time, and then you go into something that's heavily offensive, and then they just clean up the game. Luminami just enables so many Loomians to do well. While it's not a broken Loomian by itself, it just enables so many team structures to do well because it's so bulky. Because of the fact it is so slow, it takes the hit and then switches out. It's also the fact that it also has very good coverage, so it's actually a very hard Loomian to switch into as well. And even though it doesn't hit the hardest, it just enables so many broken strategies, and that's why Luminami is the number 4 most broken Loomian of all time. It's also a Loomian that's always been a top 3 meta Loomian. It has always been a highly used Loomian, and it will continue to be a highly used Loomian. The only time it wasn't great was when Sir Kame got Seasong, and then even then, Nowadays, people still use Luminami over Surkame a lot more. Luminami is just that good, and it's so good, it's actually going to lose Frostbeam and Megachomp after Season 4, which is huge, because it will actually no longer be able to hit plant types. Even then, though, I think it's still going to be a great Loomian, and it's probably always going to be a good Loomian. This Loomian will never fall off, and it will continue to be the bulkiest Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. That's why it belongs at number 4 on this list. Number 3 onto this list is going to be Cosmere Unleashed. Oh my goodness, there are 2 different Cosmere Unleashed sets I want to talk about today, because both of them were extremely broken. So broken, in fact, that Cosmere could be the most broken Loomian of all time. So first of all, let's talk about its first set. It's an Ancient Mind type that has a high melee attack stat of 134 and a great speed stat of 96. When it released into the game, it had the ability Surrogate, which made it so it can actually pick up any abilities that any Loomian has fainted. So, for example, if you had a Loomian like Sorelli that had Appetite, the most broken ability of all time, and that Loomian fainted, you can go into Cosmere Unleashed and it will take Appetite over it. And unlike Sorelli, who was balanced within mind that Appetite's overpowered, Cosmere is a freaking roamer with 134 melee attack. So it had a busted ability and it could just become broken. It's not just Appetite it could take too. The other Cosmere sets were Appetite more, Spec more, Total Eclipse more, Rev Up more, Wise more, and even Ace more was used. All of these Cosmere sets were so broken that it actually lost Surrogate and was replaced for Cosmic Pressure. Like legit, you don't know the pain until you face a Specmure. Oh my god, those Cosmeres were so broken. And it struggled for a little bit, but then Season 3 happened when it got Fire Slam to hit metal types, Slap Down to hit Luminamis, Judgment as a better stab move, and Outburst to just absolutely nuke things. That doesn't even mention the fact that Cosmere Pressure was buffed, so all Ancient type attacks are boosted by 25%. That's on top of its stab increase, by the way. And yeah, when you combine that with Specialty Gloves, bye-bye, instant nuke button. Basically, this thing was overpowered. It just OHKO'd everything. Everything was an OHKO for this guy. And this is a Loomian that has great bulk and a very good speed stat. It was so broken, in fact, that it needed to lose Outburst. And even in Season 4, it is still a very good Loomian. Maybe even still broken, because Cosmic Pressure actually doesn't care about the weather. And Season 4 has been the season that really focused on Weather War. So having a Loomian that is immune to the weathers altogether is really nice for it. Still a very good Loomian today, and there were 2 points in its life cycle where it was the #1 most broken Loomian of all time. So I think it easily deserves number 3 on this list. Number 2 on this list is going to be Borealis. Wow, I did not say that right. Borealis. So yeah, this is just a pure ice type Loomian, and this Loomian has always been very controversial. Let's first talk about the upper hand set first. I mean, 118 melee attack is nice. And upper hand makes it so any attack that goes before the opposing Loomian has a 30% damage increase. And this is for a Loomian that has 103 speed and very high power moves. It has very good coverage as well, like Blind Spot Batter and Radiant Rush, Icicle Tremor as it stabs, Cycle Chomp to hit brawlers, and of course Undermine that actually doubles its attack if it goes first. So, yeah! Borealis hit very hard and it can destroy a lot of teams. Not to mention that it even had Deep Freeze to hit Luminami. But that's not the broken set. Upper hand was always annoying, but it was elusive. Elusive Borealis was the most broken thing on the planet. Even before Season 2, if the opposing Loomian was status, Borealis simply never died. I mean, I'm talking like Ace Wrestling couldn't no-ko this. And this is for a Loomian that has very low melee defense, so yeah. But Season 3, oh god, Season 3 Borealis. When Borealis was nerfed, in quotation mark, it was actually buffed, so if it's status itself, it doesn't take that much damage. When you combine that with Bitter Cold to stun ranged attackers and a bulk up, yeah, Borealis simply never died, and this single-handedly killed an entire season. This made Season 3 bad. Just this Loomian made Season 3 unbearable. That doesn't even mention the fact that it had Slumber. Its Slumber was reworked, so its sleep turns are saved every time you switch out, and that works very well with Borealis. I don't know why Borealis didn't lose Slumber. That was the huge problem. That should have been just removed altogether. Even in Season 4, it's still a very annoying Loomian because it still soaks hits very well, but the Elusive nerf and the Bitter Cold nerf makes it so it's not busted broken anymore. It's still annoying, but not busted broken anymore. And there are moves like Provoke and Vice Jaws that can actually deal with Borealis if you can play it correctly. This thing is busted. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, and it's still an extremely powerful Loomian today, and that's why it belongs in the number 2 spot on this list. Alright, we are now into some of our honorable mentions. These are some of the broken Loomians that barely missed the list. The first one is Lachette. When Lachette was released, it actually used to have other moves like Fade Away. Fade Away Ambush Lachette, basically nothing in the entire game could switch into that. Only Tundralin and Obsidian could switch into an ambush boosted Fade Away from Lachette. This thing was pretty powerful back in early 2024. Even when it lost Fade Away, it's still a very powerful Loomian now with its Petrifying ability and Glooming ability if you use it under Fog. But yeah, nowadays, it's not really broken. It's been a meta threat ever since then. Like, it's always been a meta threat. But it hasn't been broken ever since the ambush. Ever since it lost Ambush and Fade Away. So that's why it's not on the list. And then we have Trumbull. Trumbull now is just a simple Loomian. You know, a cheese option on a hyper-offensive team. But in early 2020, when this was added, this was the most busted Loomian in the entire game. It set up a Battle Horn to cure status conditions. And then it just raging tackled things. And then once it ran out of energy, it priority flailed Quick Pounce, which was a struggle back then, used to be stronger than Quick Pounce, so that was fun. And then it had Mega Chomp as coverage. Yeah, 2020 Trumbull was a force to be reckoned with, and yeah, that thing can just insta-kill Loomians without any trouble. So yeah, I think it at least deserves an honorable mention, even though it hasn't been a great Loomian since. Servalan, kind of the same thing. Season 1 Servalan with Boast, oh god, that thing could not be stopped. Stampede Boast Servalan was so dangerous that it needed to be emergency nerfed in week 1. It was that powerful. Even after that, Season 2 and Season 3 Servalan was broken as well with a different set. Specialty Gloves Vengeance made it the best revenge killer in all of Loomian Legacy, and if you didn't have a Your Snack, you couldn't switch into that Servalan hit. Unfortunately, it's not that good anymore because it did lose those awesome tools. And it hasn't been good in any other format, so that's why it is off the list. The next Loomian we'll talk about is Thalman. Yeah, Thalman isn't the best now, but when Specialty Goggles was added, Priority Psychoblast was very strong. It also used to have moves like Zip Zap to pivot out as well. And it had coverage moves like Deep Freeze to hit Luminami and Life Drain to hit Tyrex. So just a very hard-hitting ranged attacker that's always annoying to deal with. And even though it isn't broken anymore, it still can be very dangerous under the right circumstances. Next Loomian is Obsidian. I mean, early 2022, Obsidian was the best Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. Body Crash and Primal Slash pretty much hit everything. If Resilience activated on every hit, it was eventually nerfed, so ranged attacks don't actually activate Resilience anymore, but Resilience was just buffed, meaning that contact moves now actually aren't the only moves that buff Resilience anymore. You can actually use non-contact moves like Earthquake, and that will actually buff Resilience. Obsidian's been alright ever since, but it hasn't reached its peak ever since early 2022. Lava Fiend Crackalola, oh my god, Season 1 Crackalola is... yeah, that was another Loomian that was emergency nerfed in Season 1. Heat Wave made it so Burn Up gives you a +2 ranged attack, and Crackalola had a basic bulk and a good defensive typing that it can be ran both offensively and defensively. That thing was broken, and yeah, with Scorching Skin on the normal Crackalola form, Crackalola is still a staple Loomian today. And then the final Loomian we'll be talking about in the honorable mentions is Soulburst Eruptodon. Soulburst Eruptodon, when Soulburst released, this was the best Soulburst in all of Loomian Legacy. Hellstorm was busted broken, it did damage over time, and its Earth typing gave it a Zip Zap immunity, and Dark Surge and Magnify made it so it could pretty much hit anything in the entire game. It's still solid today, but it's kind of one-dimensional, and it actually isn't that good right now because of its relatively lower speed stat, but it was very broken back then, so I wanted to at least talk about an honorable mention. Two other Loomians I want to talk about are, Sorelli and Tyrex. Sorelli's broken, but Sorelli really isn't that good, and the only reason why it is banned is because it's uncompetitive. And Tyrex isn't broken. Tyrex has never been broken. Tyrex has always been an amazing Loomian, but Tyrex has never been broken, so it doesn't belong on this list. But Tyrex is a good Loomian. So, out of the way, let's head to the most broken Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. The most broken Loomian of all time is... Ursul. There might be a couple people that might be shocked that Ursul is at the #1 spot, but if you're a player that has played for a long time or a player that just played recently, y'all are going to be like, yeah, Ursul is a pretty broken Loomian. This is a Spirit Brawler type that has been broken from the very beginning. It has 120 melee attack, and when it released, it had the ability Sharp Claws, which boosted its attack. From 2019 to early 2024, this was consistently either a great Loomian or an Uber. During most of the early days, this Loomian was broken when its best brawler move was Hop Kick. Its best spirit move was Phantom Slash. They did nothing. And keep in mind, this was before items like Specialty Gloves were in the game, so it was still overpowered even with those weaker moves. And it's because it had both Shadow Sprint and Quick Punch priority, meaning that it didn't need to run any speed, and it could run some of its CPs into its bulk instead. So they use these bulky offensive Ursuls that just hit really hard. You click a Sharpen, the boost, and then your last move was either Slap Down to get rid of items, or Chase Down, which back in 2019 to 2021 was a Dark-type move at the time. It was so powerful with Dark-type Chase Down that Chase Down was ultimately nerfed to a simple type, all because of Ursul. Even then, it gained moves like Haro and Pep Jab, and this thing just hit extremely hard. But in early 2025, it lost Sharp Claws and replaced with Prowler. At the beginning of 2025, Ursul kind of fell off the tier list very badly, but it did gain so many new moves and so many setup options, which made it a sneaky pick in the early seasons. And then Season 3 happened, where it gained Vital Jab and Vital Jab and Brawn Boost, I meant. This was probably the most underrated Loomian in all of Season 3. It has very high damage, very good setup, priority options, and it's a very tricky Loomian to beat. And the new strat was formed during this season called Prowler Soul. When you use this under Fog, it outspeeds everything in the entire game. Set up a Brawn Boost, and then you just destroy teams with that combo of Vital Jab, Haro, and Steel Trap. One of the best Loomians in Season 4. It's a Loomian that you have to prepare for in Team Preview. If you don't, you'll just get swept by a Ursul on the spot. And the thing is, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, just outplay the Ursul. It has Shadow Sprint. Thing is, these Fog teams are filled with light types in mind, like Lashent and Charonix. So, yeah, even Shadow Sprint doesn't really work versus those Ursuls. That doesn't even mention the fact that rare mix-ups on Ursul can be game-losing if you're not ready for it. Ursul can run Terrifying and Scapegoat, which makes it so if there's anything passive, you just set up a Scapegoat, Steel Trap it in it, and then you set up the +6 and win. You could use something like a priority move instead of Steel Trap or Brawn Boost, and then you could just absolutely outspeed other spirit types and hit them with Sprint before they do to you. This thing can pretty much do anything. It's so broken even now that Jamie is planning to get rid of Brawn Boost and Vital Jab from Ursul after Season 4 ends. It's that busted. And even before then, it's been a Uber-style Loomian from 2019 all the way to 2024. So I think it deserves the #1 slot. It was broken back then. It's still broken today. And here it is, Ursul, the most broken Loomian of all of Loomian Legacy. It was broken back then, and it's still broken today. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video on my top 10 most broken Loomians of all time. If there is a broken Loomian that I missed on the list, please tell me in the comments below. And if you want to join the Gamma Mecha Ikazune giveaway, just go to the comment section below and text Gamma Mecha Ikazune, and I will give y'all a number, and y'all will be part of the giveaway. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!